Step away from the Audi right now. Hands where I can see them.
It's my company's vehicle. The valet has the keys. Check the claim ticket in my hand.
Tickets get stolen. ID and registration, or you're going in cuffs.
Then cuff me, because that car unlocks for my biometric key, and your body cam will prove you profiled me.
The high-definition security lens mounted above the gilded entrance of the Fairmont Hotel captured everything. It recorded the sunlight gleaming off the polished marble of the valet stand, the rustle of the palm trees in the gentle breeze, and every single pixel of the injustice that was about to unfold. Officer Kyle Miller had absolutely no idea that the man he was eyeing from his patrol cruiser, a man standing confidently in a bespoke Italian suit checking his watch, was not a car thief. He had no idea that this man, Marcus Thorne, was the founder and CEO of Thorne Global Logistics, a company that moved freight across 4 continents and held government contracts worth billions. Marcus wasn't just a guest at the hotel. His company owned the fleet of vehicles that serviced the executive transport line. But Officer Miller didn't see a CEO. He didn't see a 58-year-old grandfather and philanthropist. He saw a tall black man standing next to a $140,000 Audi A8L in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, and he decided, based on nothing but his own internal prejudices, that a crime was in progress. Before we get into the details of a lawsuit that would eventually bankrupt the city's insurance policy and rewrite department protocols, I need you to do something for me. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you believe that the badge should stand for protection, not persecution. And drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from, whether it's the States, Europe, or anywhere else. This story is going to make your blood boil, and you need to see how it ends. Marcus Thorne was a man of precision. He built his empire on logistics, on being exactly where he needed to be, exactly when he was supposed to be there. At 58, his hair was salt and pepper cut close and neat. He wore his success quietly. There were no flashy chains, no loud branding, just the subtle, unmistakable air of authority that comes from decades of boardroom command. He had just finished a keynote luncheon at the hotel and was waiting for the valet to bring around the company flagship vehicle. It was a standard part of his day. He checked his phone, answering an email from his VP of Operations, completely unaware that his life was about to intersect with Officer Kyle Miller. Miller was 29 years old, with 3 years on the force and a reputation for being proactive, which was a polite way of saying he was aggressive. He was cruising slowly through the hotel loop, scanning plates, looking for trouble where there was none. When he saw Marcus standing by the curb as the valet pulled up the sleek black Audi, Miller's instincts, flawed and biased, kicked in. He didn't see a valet ticket in Marcus's hand. He didn't see the hotel staff nodding respectfully. He saw a black man reaching for the door of a luxury vehicle that Miller decided didn't belong to him. Miller hit the lights, just a quick chirp of the siren, and pulled his cruiser at a sharp angle, blocking the Audi's exit. He stepped out, adjusting his belt, his hand resting near his holster. "Step away from the vehicle," Miller barked, his voice echoing off the hotel facade. Marcus paused, his hand halfway to the door handle. He didn't flinch. He didn't run. He simply turned slowly, his face a mask of calm confusion. "Excuse me, officer. I said step away from the car. Now." Miller walked around the front of his cruiser, chest puffed out, closing the distance. The valet, a young man named Jason who knew Marcus by name, looked terrified. He held the keys out, frozen in place. "Is there a problem?" Marcus asked, his voice a deep baritone, steady and controlled. He lowered his hand, but didn't back away. He stood his ground, not out of defiance, but out of the certainty of a man who knows exactly who he is. "The problem is, I need to see some proof of ownership for this vehicle before you drive it off this lot," Miller said, stopping 5 feet from Marcus. He looked Marcus up and down, sneering slightly at the suit as if it were a costume. Marcus sighed, a short, sharp exhale through his nose. He had given the talk to his sons. He had given it to his grandsons. He knew the statistics. He knew the danger. But he was also tired. "Officer, I am the CEO of the company that owns this vehicle. The valet has the keys because I just retrieved them from him. If you look at the valet ticket in my left hand, you will see the claim check matches the tag on the key ring. Miller didn't look at the ticket. He was already committed to the narrative in his head. I don't care about a ticket. Tickets can be found. Tickets can be stolen. I want to see registration and a driver's license. Right now. The registration is in the glove compartment, Marcus said, gesturing toward the car, which is inside the vehicle you are preventing me from entering. Don't get smart with me, Miller snapped, stepping closer, invading Marcus's personal space. You're detained until I can verify this vehicle isn't stolen. We've had a lot of high-end thefts in this area lately. Have you? Marcus asked, his eyes narrowing. Because I sit on the board of the Downtown Business Improvement District and I review the weekly crime statistics. Vehicle theft in this zone is down 40% this quarter. So, are you investigating a specific report of a stolen Audi A8 with these specific plates? Or are you investigating me? Miller's face flushed red. He wasn't used to people talking back, certainly not with facts, and certainly not with a vocabulary that exceeded his own. He pointed a finger at Marcus's chest. I'm investigating suspicious activity, and right now you refusing to cooperate is suspicious. Put your hands where I can see them. My hands have been visible the entire time, Marcus said, holding them out, palms open. I am not refusing to cooperate. I am asking for the articulable, reasonable suspicion that justifies this detention. You have blocked my path of travel. You have issued commands. This is a seizure under the Fourth Amendment. You need more than a hunch, officer. I have reasonable suspicion that you don't look like the owner of this car, Miller blurted out. It was a moment of raw honesty that revealed the ugly truth beneath the badge. The air around them seemed to freeze. The hotel guests who were waiting for their cars had gone silent. A woman in a floral dress near the entrance pulled out her phone. Marcus saw her. He gave a microscopic nod. Record, he thought. Get it all. I don't look like the owner, Marcus repeated slowly, letting the words hang in the air like smoke. And what does the owner of a corporate fleet vehicle look like, officer? Do they look like you? Or do they just not look like me? I need ID, Miller demanded, ignoring the question because he didn't have an answer that wouldn't get him fired. Last chance, ID or you're going in cuffs. Marcus reached into his inner suit pocket with deliberate slowness. I am reaching for my wallet. I am removing my identification. He pulled out a slim leather wallet and extracted his driver's license. He handed it to Miller. Miller snatched it. Marcus Thorne, he read. He looked at the car. The plates were specialized corporate tags. They wouldn't have Marcus's name on them directly. They would be registered to Thorne Global. Miller knew this would be complicated to run, and he was already losing control of the situation. He looked back at Marcus. This doesn't prove you own the car. The car is corporate. How do I know you didn't just steal a corporate car? Because, Marcus said, his voice dropping an octave, becoming dangerous in its calm. If you look at the bottom of that license under the address, you'll see my title. But more importantly, I can unlock the car with my phone. The digital key is encrypted and linked to my biometric data. A thief cannot replicate that. Marcus raised his phone. May I? No, Miller said, panicking. If Marcus unlocked the car, the stop was over and Miller would look like a fool. Put the phone away. I need to see the physical registration. I'm going to search the vehicle. You do not have my consent to search that vehicle, Marcus stated firmly. You have no probable cause. You have no warrant. If you enter that car, you are violating federal law. I'm securing the scene, Miller said, making up procedure as he went. He moved toward the driver's door. Sir. The voice came from the hotel entrance. The concierge, a man in his 60s named Robert, rushed forward. Officer, please. This is Mr. Thorne. He stays with us every month. He is a VIP guest. There must be some mistake. Miller spun around. Back up, or I will arrest you for obstruction. This is an active investigation. Robert stopped, hands raised, looking helpless. Officer, I can vouch for him. I don't need your vouchers. I need you to back the hell up, Miller yelled. His hand was shaking now. He was in too deep. He had an audience. He had a suspect who was smarter than him. He had witnesses. He felt cornered, and like a cornered animal, he chose aggression over reason. Marcus looked at Miller. He saw the sweat on the young officer's brow. He saw the fear behind the arrogance. Officer Miller, Marcus said, reading the name tag, I'm going to give you an opportunity to save your career. Right now. You can hand me back my license, apologize, and get in your car. If you do that, I will not file a complaint. I will consider this a training error. But if you continue this, if you put those cuffs on me, you will be unleashing a legal storm that you cannot survive. My company retains one of the top civil rights firms in the state. We don't settle. We litigate. Miller laughed, a nervous cracking sound. You trying to threaten me? You think because you have a suit you can intimidate a police officer? It's not a threat, Marcus said softly. It's a forecast. Miller made his choice. He couldn't let the crowd see him back down to a black man no matter how well dressed. He grabbed his radio. Dispatch. I have a non-compliant subject at the Fairmont. Possible 10 to 16. Requesting backup. He dropped the radio and pulled his handcuffs. Turn around. Hands behind your back. For what? Marcus asked, not moving. Disorderly conduct and failure to obey a lawful order, and suspicion of GTA. Turn around. Marcus looked directly into the camera of the woman filming nearby. He wanted the world to see his face. He wanted them to see that he was not resisting. He turned slowly. He placed his hands behind his back. Miller grabbed Marcus's wrists, roughly cranking his arms up higher than necessary, trying to inflict pain, trying to assert dominance. The steel cuffs clicked shut. You're done, Miller whispered in Marcus's ear. You're going to jail. As Miller shoved Marcus toward the patrol car, they passed within 3 feet of the Audi. Marcus had the digital key active on his smartwatch. As he passed the driver's side door, the proximity sensor picked up the signal. Chirp, chirp. The Audi's amber lights flashed. The side mirrors automatically unfolded. The door locks clicked open with a solid mechanical thud. The car recognized its owner. The crowd gasped. It was like a scene from a movie. The technology had testified when the officer wouldn't listen. Miller froze. He heard the click. He saw the lights. He knew in that split second that he was wrong. He knew that the man in his cuffs was exactly who he said he was. The car had just proven it. But Miller was a coward. To stop now would be to admit fault. To stop now would be to uncuff him in front of the concierge, the lady filming, and the valet. So he ignored it. He pretended he didn't hear the car unlock. He shoved Marcus's head down and pushed him into the back of the cramped patrol unit. Sit tight, Miller said, slamming the door. Marcus sat in the back of the cruiser. It smelled of stale sweat and sanitizer. His wrists throbbed where the metal bit into his skin. He watched through the wire mesh as Miller got into the front seat. The young officer was breathing hard, staring straight ahead, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Marcus didn't say a word. He didn't need to. He began to calculate. He mentally drafted the opening paragraph of the lawsuit. He visualized the deposition where he would make Miller explain on the record why he ignored the car unlocking itself. The silence in the car was heavy, suffocating. Miller drove fast, too fast, trying to put distance between himself and the scene of his mistake. The drive to the precinct took 15 minutes. Miller didn't turn on the radio. He didn't call in the transport. He was trying to figure out how to write a report that justified arresting a man for stealing a car that had just unlocked for him. He was trying to figure out how to spin, "He looked suspicious." When they arrived at the precinct, Miller yanked Marcus out of the car and marched him through the back intake door. The sally port was cold and gray. They walked down the hallway to the booking desk. Sergeant Tom O'Malley was sitting behind the high desk. O'Malley was old school. He was 55 with 30 years on the job. He had seen good cops and bad cops, and he had a radar for nonsense. He looked up over his reading glasses as Miller dragged Marcus in. O'Malley took in the sight. He saw Officer Miller flushed and jittery. He saw Marcus Thorne, impeccable suit, expensive leather shoes, head held high, looking not like a criminal, but like a visiting dignitary who was disappointed in the service. "What do we have here, Miller?" O'Malley asked, his voice gravelly. "Suspicion of GTA, disorderly resisting." Miller rattled off, placing Marcus's wallet and phone on the counter. O'Malley picked up the wallet. He opened it. He saw the platinum credit cards. He saw the membership card to the Metropolitan Club. He saw the driver's license. GTA. O'Malley asked, skepticism dripping from his voice. "Grand Theft Auto, this man. He was trying to take an Audi A8 from the Fairmont. Couldn't prove ownership. Got belligerent." O'Malley looked at Marcus. "Sir, is that your vehicle?" "It is a corporate vehicle registered to my company, Thorne Global Logistics," Marcus said calmly. "I attempted to show Officer Miller the digital registration. I unlocked the vehicle with my proximity fob while in handcuffs. He arrested me anyway." O'Malley froze. He looked at Miller. "He unlocked it with a fob." It was a malfunction," Miller stammered. "Lights just flashed. Didn't mean anything." O'Malley didn't say another word to Miller. He turned to his computer terminal. He typed in the name from the license, Marcus Thorne. The screen populated instantly, but it wasn't a criminal record. It was a flag, a key holder status for critical infrastructure. Thorne Global Logistics was a primary contractor for city supply lines. Marcus Thorne was listed as a point of contact for emergency management. Then O'Malley ran the plate Miller had scribbled on the booking sheet. Vehicle 2024 Audi A8L. Registered owner Thorne Global Logistics. Status fleet, executive. Notes do not detain without watch commander approval. O'Malley's face went pale. He slowly took off his glasses. He looked at Miller with a mixture of pity and rage. "Miller," O'Malley said, his voice quiet. "Give me your keys. What I need to process him. Give me your damn keys," O'Malley roared, slamming his hand on the desk. The booking room went silent. "Uncuff this man, right now. Sarge, he was." "You arrested Marcus Thorne," O'Malley hissed. "Do you know who that is? He basically built the Port Authority's shipping logistics. You just arrested the man who organizes the Policeman's Ball Charity Fund." Miller's jaw dropped. The color drained from his face until he looked like a ghost. O'Malley came around the desk. He didn't wait for Miller. He used his own key to unlock Marcus's handcuffs. "Mr. Thorne, I cannot express how sorry I am. This is a severe misunderstanding." Marcus rubbed his wrists. He looked at O'Malley, then at Miller. "It wasn't a misunderstanding, Sergeant. It was a choice. Officer Miller made a series of choices, and now he's going to live with the consequences." "I'm going to get the watch commander," O'Malley said. "Please have a seat in the captain's office. Can I get you water, coffee?" "I don't want water," Marcus said. "I want my phone. I need to call my chief legal officer." 10 minutes later, the precinct captain, Sarah Jenkins, burst into the room. She was breathless. She had been briefed on the run. She saw Marcus sitting in her chair, not behind the desk, but in the guest chair, looking at the wall with an intensity that terrified her. "Mr. Thorne," she began, hands clasped. "I am Captain Jenkins. I am mortified. We are releasing you immediately, of course. All charges are dropped. The arrest record will be expunged before the ink is dry. I can have a squad car drive you back to your vehicle right now." And Marcus stood up. He towered over her. "Captain, I appreciate your efficiency, but you are trying to put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Your officer profiled me. He ignored exculpatory evidence. He arrested me to save face. I was paraded through a hotel lobby where I do business. We will handle this internally," Jenkins promised. "Officer Miller will be disciplined." "Internally isn't good enough," Marcus said. "I want the body camera footage. I want the dash cam footage. I want the dispatch logs. I want the preservation order sent to the hotel for their security feed. My lawyer is already filing the motion. Mr. Thorne, we can work this out. We will work it out in federal court, Marcus said. He adjusted his cuffs. I am leaving now. I will take an Uber. I do not want to ride in another one of your vehicles today. He walked out of the station. The lobby was quiet. Officers who had heard the whispers watched him go. Miller was nowhere to be seen. O'Malley had already relieved him of duty and sent him to an interrogation room to wait for internal affairs. Marcus stepped out into the afternoon sun. He took a deep breath. He wasn't relieved. He was exhausted. He pulled out his phone and saw the video from the hotel was already trending on Twitter. #CorporateWhileBlack was the hashtag. It had 200,000 views in an hour. The legal battle was swift and brutal. Thorne Global didn't just sue, they went to war. The lawsuit named the city, the police department, and Kyle Miller individually. It alleged unlawful seizure, false arrest, and civil rights violations under Section 1983. The discovery phase was a nightmare for the department. The internal investigation revealed that this wasn't Miller's first time. He had a pattern of stopping minority men in luxury vehicles. He had lost Bodycam footage in 2 previous incidents. But this time, he couldn't lose the footage because the hotel had it, the bystander had it, and the cloud had it. The video of the car unlocking itself while Marcus was in cuffs became the smoking gun. It was played on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. It was irrefutable proof that Miller knew Marcus was the owner and arrested him anyway. 6 months later, the city settled. They didn't want Marcus Thorne on a witness stand in front of a jury. They agreed to pay $2.4 million in damages. But Marcus didn't keep a dime. He announced a press conference on the steps of the courthouse. "The money means nothing to me," Marcus told the sea of microphones. "I have money. What I didn't have that day was my freedom. What I didn't have was the presumption of innocence." He announced the creation of the Thorne Legal Defense Fund, a nonprofit dedicated to providing top-tier legal representation for indigent defendants who were wrongfully accused by police, every cent of the $2. The $4 million went into the fund. As for Kyle Miller, the union couldn't save him. The optics were too toxic. He was terminated for cause lying on a report, conduct unbecoming, and civil rights violations. He lost his pension. He lost his certification. He would never carry a badge again. The last time anyone heard of him, he was working at a warehouse in a neighboring state scanning boxes. The irony was not lost on anyone. He was now working in logistics, the very industry Marcus Thorne dominated. The story ends here, but the lesson doesn't. Marcus Thorne won because he was Marcus Thorne. He had the money, the status, the lawyers, and the technology to prove his innocence. But what happens to the man who drives a used Honda? What happens to the man who doesn't have a concierge to vouch for him or a bystander filming? We love to see justice served, but we have to ask ourselves, is it really justice if it only works for the powerful? Marcus sat in his office a year later looking out over the city skyline. The Audi A8 was parked downstairs. He still drove it. But every time he saw a police cruiser in his rearview mirror, his heart still skipped a beat. That fear, that instinctive primal reaction was something no amount of money could fix. And that is the tragedy. If this story resonated with you, if you believe that accountability shouldn't depend on your bank account, please share this video. We need to keep talking about this. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been judged by your appearance? How did you handle it? Thanks for reading. Hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.